what I wanted to do today in this podcast is just share with you 3 of the best investments that I've ever made into myself. I wanted to share these with you because maybe you're at a place in your life where these will give you a little bit of inspiration, or they'll give you that little nudge in the direction that you've been thinking about taking, and you were just waiting for a sign from the gods, and this can finally be it. So the first, number 1, by far, best investment I've ever made. I don't know if that's even true. That's really overselling it, but let's just say this. Number 1 on the list, in no particular order, is the 8 Sleep Mattress. This is one of my favorite investments. If nothing else, it is just a cooling mattress. It keeps me nice and cool at night. It improves the quality of my sleep. It makes it so much easier for me to recover. And that is just so priceless. Like, considering we spend so much of our life in bed, it makes sense to invest and make sure that we're sleeping on something amazing. This is not something I understood for a lot of my life. I'll admit that throughout most of it wasn't until mid-30s probably that I started to really come around on this and realize, why am I sleeping on a shitty mattress that makes me sore and makes my body hurt the next day? I'm spending so much of my life here, and I'm going to own this mattress for the next couple of years. Might as well invest and make it something that is actually conducive for recovery. So the 8 Sleep Mattress is actually, I don't have the mattress. I just have the topper that goes on top of the mattress, but it's fantastic. Absolutely love it. Improved my sleep. It's a game changer. Highly recommend it. Okay. Second investment. This one might not be so pertinent to you depending on your physiological state, but in 2020, I got Lasik eye surgery, and that was an absolute game changer. It blew my mind. First of all, this whole process, this whole procedure is absolutely incredible. It's mind-boggling what they do to the human eye, and that you can just immediately bounce back after this very invasive surgery to your eyeballs with lasers, and you can sit up off the table a couple seconds later and you're blurry and your eyes are scratchy, but you can see. You can see the world as it is. I had lived my entire life with absolutely atrocious eyesight. I had glasses and contacts, and I hated it. But it really came to a head when 2020 came around and I was wearing glasses and living in Minnesota. They started fogging up all the time. I was like, okay, I need to finally do something about this. But I had been on the fence so long about doing LASIK. If that's you, I encourage you to get off the fence, because it was absolutely a game changer. It was not that bad of a procedure. The recovery process was no problem. Some people have different experiences with that, but mine was smooth sailings. Within just a day, I was fully upright and normal, and I could see like an eagle. It is something I take for granted now that it's been a couple of years, but every time I think about it consciously, I go, wow, that was an amazing investment in myself. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Now, I share that one. That's not one that's going to necessarily move you towards your goals, right, in life. But I think reinvesting back into your body in a way that makes you love your body even more, I think that's worth it. And so I guess thinking about, whether that's, orthodontics and getting your teeth straightened, if that makes you feel good about yourself, awesome. If you're thinking about getting, augmentations to your body, I'm not really all psyched on that, but if that's you, if that's something that you are thinking about because it will make you feel better in your body, I think there's a lot of value in that. I probably have poo-pooed that more in the past than I do currently as I sit here and think about it, but it's worth whatever investment you make into feeling good in your body. I'm just going to say that. Best investment you can really make, though, is in your nutrition and your exercise. You do those things. So, do the foundational stuff before you go getting all crazy with the scalpels and whatnot. But the LASIK, if you have bad eyesight, 100% recommend. So cool. Okay, third investment, and this is the best business investment that I ever made, was in a mastermind that cost $10,000. Now, at the time when I was making the decision to do this, that was a lot of money for me. It was a mind-blowing amount of money. I had to put it on a credit card. I didn't have enough money for it. I hemmed and hawed, and I felt so uncomfortable. It made me sick to think about this, but I was having a conversation with my dad, and my dad could see the trajectory that I was on in my life at that point, and the successes that I had had, and that I was moving in the right direction, and that this was a necessary step to leveling up my network and my mindset, more importantly, to normalize this baseline of money temperature. I talk about this in the past where, there's an amount of money that you consider normal. Anything about underneath that amount is probably a no-brainer expense. You can buy the thing, you don't really think too much about it. Maybe that's $100, maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $10, I don't know. But to move through the different levels of wealth, you really have to normalize larger and larger numbers. And I'm not saying you need to go and spend larger and larger numbers, but you need to think about them in more normalized ways, so that instead of thinking $5,000 is a lot, now you start thinking 50,000, then 500,000, then 5 million. And that is how you start attracting larger and larger quantities of money, because you're not carrying the same limiting beliefs and the same stigmas around it. And how you think about money dictates how you act towards it. And in that case, I was thinking $10,000 is a lot of money. I don't know if this is going to be worth it. The only way I could justify it in my mind as being worth it is if it could make me 10x or 100x that. So 100,000 or $1 million over the next couple of years. And I thought if it had the chance of doing that, then it would be well worth it. And my dad sat me down and he's like, worst case scenario, all that happens here is you lose $10,000. But what you will have gained is you will have become the type of person who invests $10,000 into themselves, who isn't afraid to put that money back into their growth. He's like, and if there's nothing else that you get from it, that is a good investment. And he was absolutely right. Something fundamentally changed in my mind after I made that investment. So it did. Like the way that I approached money, the way I approached these types of masterminds and networking groups and communities, it fundamentally changed. The way I started acting towards money changed. And as a result, I started making way, way more. It was very, very illuminating. It sounds very The Secret and very hoo-ha, but there's something there. And I'm not saying that you need to go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars on a course or anything like that. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying you have to be willing to invest back in yourself. If you're not willing to do that, then are you really willing to pay the prices necessary to get to the place that you want to be? Because the things, your greatness, your success, your financial success, your business success, the things that are going to cost you, that you will have to sacrifice in the grand scheme of things, the cheapest, most the least valuable part of all the sacrifices you will make is the money. Think about that. The money you sacrifice, you have to spend to get to that place, that is the least valuable thing. It's the time, the energy, the time that you could be spending with your friends and your family doing other things, the opportunity costs that are coming along with that, giving up extra nights, hanging out and staying up late, and entertainment and comfort. Those are the things that cost the most. The money you spend along the way in the grand scheme, it's the least valuable. And so if you're not even willing to spend that into yourself, you're never going to be willing to pay the higher costs. And those are the ones that truly need to get paid. So I wanted to share that because that was a real game changer for me. Nowadays, like $10,000 is, I'm still a cheapskate. So like, I still think of 10,000 as like, oh no. But I don't hesitate for a second to spend that and invest that back into myself. So think about that for yourself. Where are you on your journey, and what is that amount of money that you are willing to sacrifice or put into yourself so that you can get to that place that you want to be? Get clear on that, because once you start pushing up and realizing and like putting your finger on that number, that's how you then take that number and you move it. It's only by being aware of where that threshold is, though. So that's going to do it for me, guys and gals. Those are 3 investments that have had a massive impact on my life and the quality of my life. So if you're on the fence about any one of those 3, let this be the sign. What was that the comedian that said, let this be your sign, or this is your sign? I don't know what I'm doing here. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, guys and gals. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay hyper focused, my friends.